it's Eva, and I have another video for a thrift flip, or whatever you want to call it. Basically taking an article of clothing that I found from the thrift store and turning it into something that I want. And this is, like, I've wanted overalls for so long, except that they've always been very expensive, they don't fit me well, or I just can't find one that I like. Because some of them have like decals or something that I just don't want on it. Like, I just want a nice simple one. So I decided to try my hand and make myself some overalls, which was quite interesting. This might be one of my biggest sewing projects ever because this was totally unfamiliar. I didn't really have any patterns to work with. I was kind of like, can't be that hard, right? And I did have some hiccups because it was my first time, but lessons learned, and those things are totally easy to fix. So I have my overalls, which I'm pretty happy and proud of. There are some things that I definitely would change about it, but nonetheless, lessons learned, I will apply it next time. But hopefully you guys like this little adventure that I went on, and if you guys do want to turn a old long denim skirt that you found at a thrift store or even in your closet, then hello, join me in this adventure. By the way, these are beginner friendly because I'm obviously a beginner at sewing, and you guys will see my stitching and hand stitching and all that stuff, so it's beginner friendly, trust me. First things first, you're going to want to take the skirt, put it up against yourself, and see how long you want the top rectangular piece to be, or how wide. I definitely wish that I made mine a lot thinner because I think that would look a lot cuter and more slimming, but lessons learned. Taking a pen or chalk or something, I used a pen because I didn't have chalk with me, trace out the size and length of everything, and then just put it on a flat surface, and from here we're actually going to start patterning. By the way, when you trace this stuff out, you're going to want to do that on the inside because obviously you do not want to see pen marks on the outside, the nice side. Personally, I wanted the top and the bottom to be very separate, and I want it to look very distinct, that they were two different parts, because I wanted to show the stitching and everything, and I just thought it would give more dimension and detail to it. So I made them two completely separate parts, and I made sure to also mark off the parts that I was planning on folding in and hemming. Also, because these are overalls, you're going to want them to be symmetrical, or I don't know if you want to go rogue and do whatever you want then. If you want to make it heart shaped or even star shaped, actually those are all symmetrical. Basically, if you want it to be not symmetrical, go for it. But for me, I wanted it to be symmetrical, so I always just traced out one side only because I plan to cut it out, flip it, and then cut out the other half just so that it's as identical as possible. For the skirts, I just used a fitted skirt that I've used before as a pattern just because I know that it fits well. It also has a zipper, so I know for sure that it fits well. This was the part where I made the mistake, and I did cut it too short because I was worried about not having enough fabric for the straps, which was a kind of a good call in a way because I really didn't have any extra fabric for the straps. But at the same time, I had to think around that and make the skirt longer, which not a big issue, figured that out later. But anyways, you're going to want to cut out the top portion, which is just one sheet of fabric that is kind of rectangular. And then from the bottom, obviously you're going to want a back flap and a front flap because we're going to be making this a skirt. I would make it shorts, but I'm not that advanced yet. So just cut out the skirt shape out of two pieces of fabric. I kind of just used the two pieces that were already there just because it was easy and attached. Next up, with a needle and thread or sewing machine, you're going to want to take the top piece of fabric and hem the two sides down, just because we don't want any raw edges or anything, and we want it to look clean and refined. As for the skirt fabrics, you're going to want to hem the bottom parts, and then for one side only, you're going to want to hem the top part down, just because that is going to be the back end, and since the front end is going to be attached to the shirt, we'll deal with that later. Now with the skirts part with the raw edge on top and the top portion, you're going to want to fold down the skirt and then just hem the skirt to the top as well, just so that the two pieces become one, and from here you can kind of see the shape of the overalls coming together. I also did sew this one different, and I kind of just used a straight stitch, which was hand sewed and obviously not that nice, sorry, not good at hand sewing. But I just did that because I wanted to see the stitching and I thought it would look a lot nicer, as I've mentioned before. Now we need to work on the skirt, and I want to add a zipper because there has to be a way for you to get into this, and denim is obviously not super stretchy, at least not the one that I'm working with. So with whatever side you want the zipper to be on, I just chose the left side. You're going to want to place the two skirt pieces beside each other with the bad side facing upwards towards you. place the two folded edges together and then put a zipper right on top, and that's exactly how you're going to sew it on. Just sew two seams right beside each side of the zipper. And these are pretty much going to act as flaps to hide the zipper, because obviously my zipper is not the right color, but that's fine because it gets covered up anyways. And then to finish off that side, obviously we've sewn down the zipper, but now we need to close up the bottom of the skirt, which is obviously left open still. So just sew along the two pieces so that they will be attached together. Okay, so now we need to put the whole thing together, or at least everything but the straps. Flip the two skirt pieces together just so that the good sides face each other and the bad sides face out. And you're going to want to sew along the raw edges that are not hemmed, and that's just going to close everything up. And from there you have the body of your overalls done. At this point I did try it on, and then I realized that I made a big mistake and it is way too short. So what I thought of to fix that was to actually sew some lace along the bottom. I actually ended up using wider lace later on just so that it covers up a lot more, because this was extensively short of a pair of overalls. But obviously you can also wear like an underskirt instead if you don't want to sew that additional part on. Also, because I did want it to look like it fits on there, I did add some lace along the top as well, kind of almost in a sweetheart shape, just so that it looks more cohesive with the top and the bottom. Now with the remaining fabric that we cut off at the bottom of the skirt, we're going to want to cut it into two strips, fold the strips in half. I kind of want to try and aim for like almost an inch of a width of strips. But fold each one in half, and then from there you're going to want to sew a line just on the two raw edges just to create a tube. And this is very time consuming, but taking a safety pin, you're going to want to clip it onto one end and then slowly thread it through and flip the tube inside out. Because this was denim and because this is a very narrow tube, this took a very long time and my fingers hurt a lot. But you have to do it, or at least I thought I had to do it, because that's how I wanted it to look. And finally, you're going to want to put your overall body on, and then with the straps, you're going to want to kind of measure out how long you want it to be and where you want to attach it. And from there, you're just going to want to sew it across. I did originally plan to have buttons at the front, but I just couldn't find any big thick buttons that I really wanted that looked nice, and I couldn't get my hands on those overall clasps within reasonable time. Also, if you choose to have it, which I chose to have it, I did choose to crisscross the backs just because I thought it looked cuter. But other than that, you are done. You have your very own homemade overalls, which was very tedious to do in some parts, especially the straps. But other than that, I'm pretty proud of what I did, considering the fact that I'm very beginner-like at sewing. So this was a really big project and I'm pretty proud of myself. Let me know down below, what was your biggest project, what was the hardest thing you did when it came to thrift flipping, and what you want to see in the future. Give me a big thumbs up if you like this video. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more, because I post a lot of fashion-like videos, and I will see you guys later. Bye!